Hey guys, this video is a must watch, so if you travel alone to the store or to the gas station by yourself, listen up. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, Houston is one of the largest hubs for human trafficking in the nation and the largest hub in Texas. Houston has over 200 active and openings each month to recruit human trafficking. So it is at an all-time high. So again, if you're traveling to the store by yourself or with your children, pay attention. Be on the watch. Also, if you see something, say something. Now, back in June of this year, Houston Police Department and authorities captured and arrested 5 individuals who held 18 people, 2 of which who were women, who were being held for ransom. They found 4 guns, more than $10,000 in cash, and 19 grams of cocaine. Now, this stash house was located at 10427 Rockcrest Road, which is on the northwest side of Houston. 2 of the women who had been held for 25 days sexually assaulted. The other were 16 men who had also been held. They had little or no clothes and had to give sex for food. Now, back in June, a family member contacted the Houston Police Department to report that their family member had been kidnapped and they wanted a ransom and would not release them without giving a specific amount of money. Now, here is the press release over that.
They are here to highlight a recent human smuggling and kidnapping case that resulted in the arrest of several suspects and the rescue of 18 people.
There are many forms of human trafficking. Sex and labor are more common. In 2017, there were more than 313,000 victims in Texas alone. Sexual exploitation, which is enticing the victim into sex trafficking. Fake promises of a good job. 9 times out of 10, it's in another country. Fake marriages turned into bondage. There's also domestic servitude, where the victim is forced to work for private households for long periods of time and long hours with no pay, and they are being abused and exploited. Women and young girls are required to live a secluded life with no unsupervised privileges. There's also child exploitation, which involves the kidnapping and abuse of young children, luring them and making attempts to human traffic them. And last, there is organ harvesting, where the internal organs are being taken for transplant. This is a legal trade, and the demand for kidneys is on the black market.
Efforts to throw out this instance of aggravated kidnapping, sexual assault, and smuggling. And Chief Officer Vader will discuss the specifics, but the specifics that tell about the brutal sexual violence, the multiple female victims and the other adults in this case and juveniles that came to an end. Their teamwork led to the arrest of 5 suspects and the rescue of 2 females, 16 males, total of 18 individuals, victims of kidnapping and sexual assault. The road to recovery for these victims in this case and their families is long. Our prayers and thoughts will be with many of them. And in this case, HPD likely intervened.
In May of this year, the Houston Police Department and the Human Trafficking Task Force had an undercover sting operation where they were able to capture and arrest 47 people in the Katy, Texas area. Now, Katy, Texas is located in Houston, Texas. It's a city in the surrounding county. Now, 27 of the suspects were women, and there were 8 victims. Sadly, the youngest was 16 years old, and there was another victim that was a runaway. And as you can see, there is no set profile. Human traffickers are male, female. They come in all nationalities. The police department states that most of the recruiting occurs online and through social media. So please pay attention to what your children are viewing, who they are talking to, as well as yourself. You have to be careful. There are a lot of individuals who come at you saying that they're contacting you about money or a job. Be careful. Also, pay attention to your surroundings as you're entering and leaving your vehicle, especially with it being holiday season. We're living in trying times and living in times where people will do anything to obtain money, even if it's resulting to human trafficking. Again, and I'm going to keep saying this throughout this video, if you see something, say something. In October of last year in the Woodland, Texas area, which is another city in the surrounding county of Houston on the north area. And also included in this arrest were Spring, Texas, and FM 1960 area. 75 arrests were made. There were 5 victims who were forced into prostitution, and one of the victims was a teenage runaway who thankfully has been reunited with their family. These individuals used the internet to lure victims, and out of the 75 suspects, 32 were men, 28 were women, and the remaining were related to the prostitution operation. They would interview workers for sex and make attempts to kidnap the victims into human trafficking. Drugs, cash, and guns were found. Most recently, in August of this year, one of the largest child human trafficking was encountered in Fort Worth, Texas, where 9 children were recovered. Operation Independence Day, which occurred back in July, also located 14 victims in Las Vegas. This complete operation partnered with local authorities and teamed up with the FBI and over 400 law enforcement agencies and led to the arrest of 67 people, and 103 juveniles were recovered.
What you see here specifically related to the Houston field office is a partnership with the Houston Police Department and the Fort Bend County Precinct 3 Constable's Office. We have undercover officers here who are helping us out on various social media sites and escort sites, looking for runaways, looking for essentially juveniles who have been posting themselves for commercial sex. Once they make contact with that juvenile and sometimes adult victims, then they will make a fake date with them wherein they'll be intercepted at a predetermined location and brought back to this location where they will be interviewed and then provided services if they so request, and then transported to the hospital for forensic examination. We are here to rescue children, and we are here to build good cases against traffickers. If we have developed enough rapport with the victim, we will build a case against their trafficker and hopefully charge
We
them.
parked on the south side. We're going to see if we can get him to walk over here. He's almost to our car, so if you want to roll up here, that's fine. We're going to come.
Do they know anything at all about you being online, or they know about you being online? Have you been pretty open with them?
A lot of the operations that we do also include social media operations. And typically what we see is underage minor boys who are engaging in unsafe methods online, where they agree to a meet for a date in exchange for money or anything of value. And so it's important that we intervene and that we provide really good education, awareness, and resources to them, so that way they don't go back online and could meet somebody who could be an online predator. What they essentially are doing, it's extremely dangerous. You never know who you're going to meet on the other end. It could be a pimp, it could be an online predator, somebody that's going to exploit them, who could essentially rape them, take their money, do whatever to harm them. And so we want to make sure that we're intervening and doing that outreach.
Just late last month in Georgia, a 4-day operation leads to the capture and major arrest of 24 people who were child predators, as well as individuals who used children for human trafficking. Let's take a look at the news clip.
Deputies gave us 22 mugshots today, calling these people child predators. Investigators, it is a tough reminder about the dangers lurking on the internet all the time. Channel 2's investigative reporter Aaron Diamond is live in Forsyth County. That's where police announced these arrests. Aaron?
Yeah, Jovita, 3 of those arrested live here in Forsyth County. Nearly all the rest of them live within 50 miles of the sheriff's office. Now listen to this. 2 of those arrested are registered sex offenders. Another one is a sex offender currently serving time in state prison using a smuggled cell phone.
You need to talk to your children about the dangers that are posed and what's lurking out there. Parents need to monitor social media of their children. I know sometimes we think that we're intruding in their lives.
A warning: Forsyth County Sheriff Ron Freeman can't make loud or often enough after leading a massive operation that snared 24 accused child sex predators and traffickers.
These individuals knew and clearly knew that they were arranging sexual encounters with very young, what they believed to be very young children.
Freeman told us Operation Just Cause took months to plan. The sheriff's office shared this drone video of some of the dramatic arrests that went down last weekend.
If you come to this county and you think you're going to prey on our children, you have indeed picked the wrong county.
Here's a look at the 22 mugshots we have so far. Their ages span from 19 to 65. The charges range from sex trafficking to soliciting kids for sex to distributing child pornography to drug crime. Among those arrested, Mackenzie Stinson and Jonathan Butler, who investigators say drove from Tennessee to Forsyth County with their 2-year-old daughter to have illegal sex with what was a cop posing as a child online.
Human trafficking versus smuggling, and people often confuse the two, but smuggling involves the illegal movement of people across international borders for a fee, and upon arrival, the smuggled person is freed. Human trafficking is much different. The trafficker has every intention of exploiting that person for various reasons. 51% of identified victims of trafficking are women, 28% are children, and 21% are men.
They would beat me with chains.
Her name is Carla Jacinto.
I'm a human trafficking survivor. I'm 24 years old. They forced me into prostitution starting at age 12.
By her own estimate, she was raped more than 43,200 times by the time she turned 16. After being forced to work as a prostitute for 4 years, she was rescued during a police raid and taken to a shelter. Over several years, she says, she went from being a victim to a trusted volunteer who would help and give advice to other victims. Wounds and harrowing memories of sexual abuse.
They knew we were minors. We were not even developed. We had sad faces.
Rosy Orozco, a former Mexican congresswoman who now fights against human trafficking, says men in positions of power were among Carla's worst abusers.
She had clients that were judges, priests, pastors, police, so she knew that she could not run away to go to the authorities.
Now, Carla is not only surviving but thriving, speaking publicly against human trafficking in different countries.
In an area we know as the Bissonnet Tract on the south side of Houston, Texas, it is known for human trafficking and prostitution. A 6-day sting operation led to the arrest of 37 individuals. The arrest included 32 women and 5 men. In many cases, these women have been forced into the lifestyle as well as into prostitution, and they're forced into sexual exploitation. They're being abused mentally, physically, and emotionally. Human trafficking is not just an urban problem. It is happening all over the world in increasing
For more
numbers.
than a week now, we shared the story of Letty Serrano, lured away, drugged, and sold for sex at age 13. She ended her own life this month. Her family buried her Monday, knowing she couldn't stand the pain, the struggle her life had become. The man suspected of selling her has been in and out of jail but never faced charges for Letty, though HPD is again investigating her case. She is emblematic of an enormous scourge in southeast Texas.
Among the highest are African American lives. We are the highest number of reported cases in this country alone, with more than 14,000 calls that were made to the National Human Trafficking Hotline last year. A high percentage of those calls are related to Black victims. 62% of reported cases are regarding Black adults and children. Now, this next clip went viral on Facebook, and I received it, and I wanted to share it with this clip because I felt that it was very informative.
So important that I want to draw attention to. We're not hearing enough about how we, women, Black women, are under attack. 75,000 women and young girls have just disappeared. And if you ask me, not enough people are talking about it. It should be all over the news, all over the radio. These are sisters, mothers, wives. Our babies are just disappearing. Sex trafficking and human Organ trafficking is at an extreme high. This is not random. This is big business that we're talking about. It's intentional, and people in high places know about it. We have got to be alert. We got to be cautious, and we got to be diligent because our lives depend on it. So I want you to do what I do. I mean, I'm literally, call me crazy when I'm out with my children, but I'm always watching. You have to be. When you leave Walmart or you leave Target or you leave the supermarket, where did you park? Okay, what cars were next to you? What cars are next to you now? Are there vans next to you? Because you know what they're doing? When you go to get in your car, they're opening the side doors, jumping out, injecting these women, and they're paralyzed, and that's how they're snatching them. We've heard it from sex trafficking victims that that's exactly what happened. Out of the blue, someone grabbed them, injected them, and that's all they remember. Also, they're putting things on your front window. So now you get in, you get out your car, you go around to grab it off your front window, and that's how they're getting you, or your back window. They have these little black snip ties. They put them on your car, and you're saying, what is that? Let me get out and take it off. Forget about it. Leave it. Who cares? It's material stuff. If there's something on your window, you drive home, you drive to a safe area, you go to a well-lit area where there's a lot of people, then you take it off. But do not fall for the okie doke. Your life depends on it. And I want you to make sure you send this video, send this message to every woman that you know. We've got to take care of ourselves. We got to look out for us because the media doesn't seem to care as much as they should. We're not the leading story of the day. And I think that's what these sex traffickers are counting on, that people are not valuing the lives of Black women. Please send this to your child, send this to your mother, send this to your sister. We have got to be diligent, and we've got to be cognizant, pay attention, be alert. I love
The disappearance of young Black lives has become an epidemic. 16-year-old girl walking down the street in Colorado missing. The numbers are increasing, and it's estimated that over 75,000 Black women and girls have been victims of human trafficking. Monique Davis, another young girl that was taken from Minnesota. Anya Washington from Houston, Texas. Jada Cyrus from Boston. Ravanna Anderson from Georgia. The list goes on and on and on. And we have lives that are being taken. And this video is not just about Black women and children or Black lives being taken. There are all nationalities that are being victimized of human trafficking. This video has every intention to spread the word that we have to be alert. We have to pay attention. We have to do something. If you see something, say something. If you see something that looks suspicious in your neighborhood, contact the authorities. Jason Pope, aka DJ Kid. He is a local DJ and party promoter in South Carolina. He was arrested on August the 29th for sex trafficking over 700 Black girls. He is accused of kidnapping, prostitution of a minor, and criminal sexual assault of a minor, of children as young as 13 and another victim as old as 17 years old. In North Carolina, 4-year-old Aubriana was missing for almost 2 months. Her mother, 23-year-old Carmen Lowe, apparently violated her custody order by taking her daughter out of state. She had Aubriana for the weekend, and when she failed to return her, her father alerted the police. The mother fled to multiple states. She left North Carolina, then went to New Jersey, Louisiana, and then to Texas. The mother was arrested in New Orleans but did not have Aubriana with her. The little girl was found in Louisville, Texas, at a house that was already being investigated by the FBI for a human trafficking ring. Apparently, the mother gave the child to a pimp that was associated with the human trafficking ring. Thankfully, she was found and reunited with her
Lavon
father.
Franz says she was delivering newspapers early Sunday morning in Ankeny when all of a sudden
I saw this girl and she was going like this, waving her hands at me. And so immediately I started putting up my windows, and she didn't look like she was distraught or anything, but she looked like she was upset. And I asked her, can I help you? Is there something wrong? She goes, I just had a bad breakup with my boyfriend. She was crying.
Fran says in that moment, her gut told her something wasn't right.
She didn't seem panicky. She just seemed nervous and just upset.
So she drove the young woman to a come and go down the road where the clerk then called police.
So he called dispatch from there and we got her settled in there because I knew most of the gas stations are, you know, safe places.
After police arrived and interviewed the woman Franz dropped off, it led them somewhere they weren't expecting.
And that led them across the street to the Quality Inn, where they knocked on a few doors and began to put pieces of the puzzle together, and that's when they ended up arresting the suspect with the charges that were filed.
That suspect is Brittany Walters, who is charged with human trafficking and pimping. She's accused of driving 4 women to the metro in order to prostitute them. One of those victims was the woman Franz helped.
I'm glad she's safe, and I'm glad I could help her as much as I could.
In Ankeny, Laura Barcheski.
Just 2 weeks ago, 27-year-old Tevin McClennan took an 18-year-old girl, held her at gunpoint, and kidnapped her at 16510 North Freeway in Houston, Texas. The police were able to track the girl's cell phone, and they located her at 14600 Walters Road. They found her along with a 16-year-old girl in the car. Tevin McClennan had took her to a motel, sexually assaulted her, and made plans to take her to Louisiana, where he had already told her that she would be forced to have sex for money. He has been charged with sexual assault, human trafficking, and other charges. Human trafficking doesn't just happen in third world countries. It's happening right here. It's happening right now. It's happening in large numbers each and every day. Traffickers benefit by having control over another person for the sole purposes to exploit, kidnap, and in many cases, it's much, much worse. There are currently an estimated 313,000 victims in Texas alone. Pay attention. Be alert. If you see something, say something. Be the one that joins the fight against human trafficking so that lives can be saved. And if what you've watched in this video isn't enough, let me give you the real statistics. Since 2007, there have been over 200,000 contacts regarding human trafficking and over 41,000 in 2018. Each year, the numbers increase. Each day, someone loses a family member to human trafficking. Stop human trafficking. And if you need help and you don't know how to escape, please contact the police. Please contact your local authorities. You can also contact the hotline at 1-888-373-7888. Get help today. Please join the cause. Please join the fight. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know that it was long, but I wanted to push out informative information to you. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much, and you have a blessed one.